middle of the night, and we're going to hit another piece of market structure today, and hopefully a really short video. The shorter they are, the faster they upload for you. So in the first segment, we talked about perfect competition versus monopoly, and hopefully this is fairly simple. The truth is, this is a very complicated unit. It's a very abstract theory. Hopefully today's piece will show you why this is actually one of the coolest units in economics. Remember, perfect competition is goods and services that exist in the most competition, things that are absolute perfect substitutes. All the corn of the world, all the rice of the world, all the soybeans of the world, most producers, most firms, most buyers, the most simple stuff possible. You do not need a degree in rocket science to choose a tomato at the grocery store. Versus the monopoly market structure, which is the most complex goods and services in the world, where you do need a literally degree in nuclear physics to understand how a power plant works. There's a nuclear power plant out in Callaway, Missouri. None of us really understand the entire process of splitting an atom, so it'd be very difficult for us to compete with that nuclear power plant and set up little mini fission reactors in our basements to compete with the electric company. So monopoly is the fewest firms, literally just one. Now those are the extremes. We started there because they're the easiest to understand, the most extreme examples. It's the two in the middle where the real heart of this unit is. I could tell by some of the examples these seniors were using in the discussion forum. Unfortunately, our tech department's only letting seniors use the discussion forums right now. It's just a little bug we'll work out, so don't worry about posting for now. The next two are oligopoly versus monopolistic competition. This is where things get weird, but I think this is the piece of the unit that can help you understand a lot about life around you. Oligopoly is when you shift from one firm in a market structure to 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 giant firms in a market structure with goods that are somewhat replaceable. For instance, this is where name brands really come into play. You will find people that are do or die loyal to the name brands of Chevrolet, Ford, or Chrysler, the big 3 American car companies. Cars, trucks are essentially substitutes, yet people will fight to the bitter end about how one is better than the other. And there's a reason for that. Oligopoly cannot, this is like the biggest point on oligopoly, cannot use price to compete with each other. In perfect competition, price just sinks to equilibrium, and the farmer just has to accept whatever price the market is giving for his goods, whatever that might be. But in an oligopoly, when you have Ford, Chrysler, Chevrolet competing with each other, they will never use price as a competition. Literally, you could go around to car lots. I've been here. Every car dealer in St. Louis claims to have the lowest prices in town. You go to each individual car lot, what you'll find on the sticker of each car is an equal car at every car lot has an equal price. They're perfectly equal. You can wheel and deal with that dealership for a trade, maybe a little bit of negotiating, but the sticker price is the same across the board. And the reason is this: in an oligopoly, when you have two firms competing with each other, say Ford versus Chevy, if Ford says, well, we're gonna lower our price to stay in competition, Chevrolet has to go even lower, so Ford has to go even lower, and they end up reverse auctioning down all of their prices. So what oligopolies had to do is find non-price competition, and this is where I think we can explain a lot of what you see in the world. So the basics again: few sellers, very complex goods. Cars are fairly complicated, and the sellers are not always really well informed about the product. We're not all experts on cars. So here's what oligopolies do to compete with each other. Strategy number 1, product differentiation. They take the exact same good and they make varieties of the exact same good. For example, basic car example. When you go buy a car, one of your first choices is, do you want an automatic transmission or a manual transmission? Do you want air conditioning? No air conditioning. What kind of sound system do you need? Some people are happy with no sound system. Some people are happy with the plain Jane. Some people will pay extra money for the big complex sound system in the car. Do you want leather seats or plain seats? What color of a car do you want? There's just, when you go car shopping, and we'll do an example of this later in the course, there are so many choices you have to make because the same product has so many differentiations. When you buy a truck, do you want regular cab, extended cab, or quad cab? Do you need a short bed or a long bed? Do you need two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive? There's just endless differentiations in the car industry. And anything in oligopoly you're going to find with differentiations like this. Appliances are another good one. Home appliances. Do you need the refrigerator with the ice maker or without the ice maker? Do you need the freezer at the bottom, freezer on the side? There's just so many differentiations even though you're just buying a refrigerator. In this way, firms that exist in oligopoly can sell more product by offering you more choices. So this might explain the world as far as why we have so many choices in certain products. Another strategy they use is price discrimination. Usually discrimination is a pretty ugly word. We're not talking about race here, we're talking about prices. A good example of this might be movie theaters. If you really look at the movie theater industry, there's only a couple big companies that own the movie theaters. And they've raised ticket prices so much, and that's because of Hollywood. It just costs so much to make a movie. Seeing a movie is very expensive. And so movie theaters have, if we go back to the previous example, they do use some product differentiation. They've added the heated seats, they've added the reclining seats, they've added more and more choices for your foods and drinks and beverages in the movie theaters. But one strategy movie theaters in particular use is they understand that certain groups don't have the money to go see a movie, and so they price discriminate. You, as students, would get a student discount at any movie theater you go to. Take your student ID, it's going to cost you less money to see the movie. Senior citizens, you hear this one a lot, senior citizen discount. Movie theaters and a lot of other places, they understand that senior citizens, a lot of them are living on a fixed income, whether it's Social Security or their saved retirement benefits, but they have a fixed income. And so it's a big deal to go spend money at a movie theater, so they offer them a senior discount, or McDonald's offers them cheaper coffee to get their business. Otherwise, they just won't get their business. Versus somebody like me, I'm right in middle age, I have 2 children, I'm at the peak of my income making years. A movie theater is not going to give me a discount. They realize that I'm only going to go see a movie if I really, really want to go see a movie. And if I really, really want to go see a movie, I'm going to pay full price. And they know that. And they know that I'm going to show up and get the full movie theater experience with popcorn and giant sodas. For instance, what I mean by this, they don't have to give me a deal on seeing a movie because, like, the last movie I went to a movie theater was the last installment of Star Wars, episode number 9. I started watching Star Wars movies in 1977. I've been waiting since 1977 for the final installment to come out on Star Wars. Since I saw it as a child, I'm going to take my children to see Star Wars. So I'm going to go drop 50, 60, probably $80 for a movie like that for me and my 2 children to go see the movie. And the theaters know I'm going to do that. It's such a big deal. I'm not going to wait for Redbox. I'm not going to wait for the DVD. I've been waiting since 1977 to see this movie. That's 43 years of waiting. I'm going to go blow the money. So they don't have to give me a discount. Versus a senior citizen is going to say, maybe I want to see it, maybe I don't. Maybe I'll wait for Redbox and pay the $1.80. And there's a lot of movies I do that for. And in that case, the movie theaters realize he is not going to go see that movie, no matter what discount we give him, because you can see it for $1.80 from the Redbox. So there's a lot of discrimination in those oligopoly market structures. Some other examples here: a lot of restaurants have children eat for free. That's just a price discrimination because the middle class family, it's a big deal to eat out. They're not going to eat out unless they get some type of deal from the restaurant. One of the biggest ones we see is the brand multiplication strategy. if you look at car companies really carefully, there's really actually General Motors is what we really mean by Chevrolet. Chevrolet is owned by General Motors. There's Ford and there's Chrysler. And what they'll do is they'll take the exact same product and multiply their brands. Now this is different from product differentiation. The differentiation means you take a truck and you take a base truck and you add four-wheel drive and you make it a blue color and you add air conditioning and a big giant booming sound system. Brand multiplication means you take that truck that you've differentiated and you label one of them Chevrolet. Then you take the exact same truck and you label the other one GMC. Two brands, two dealerships, twice the chance of selling that truck. And every car company does this. General Motors owns the Cadillac brand, the Pontiac brand, Buick, Oldsmobile, Chevrolet, and the GMC brand, and many others I couldn't even imagine listing. Ford, historically, some of these don't exist anymore, but Ford owned Mercury and Lincoln and several other brands. Chrysler owns Jeep. Chrysler owned the Plymouth brand. Every car company owns different brands that can multiply their amount of selling vehicles. Home appliances are the greatest example of this. Buying home appliances is a big deal. You want something that's going to last for a long, long time. And what it boils down to is Maytag and Kenmore, Magic Chef, all the different appliance brands, they're all owned by 2 or 3 major companies who fill Lowe's and Home Depot with what appears like many, many, many brands of appliance. They can offer different price discriminations. You got your lower end brands, your higher end brands, so that the budget shopper comes and says, well, I can't afford a real fancy house, so I'll take the lower end brand. Other people come in, say, well, I want this to last forever, so I want the super heavy duty Maytag brand. And what most people don't realize is they're buying from the same company. There's only 2 or 3 major appliance companies. Alright, so I think that pretty much wraps up the oligopoly structure, which leads us to the monopolistic competition, which has a lot of the same features. All monopolistic competition means is there's more sellers than oligopoly. Instead of 4 or 5 major companies, you might have 50 major companies. And there's a lot more subs, but there's just a couple of unique qualities about monopolistic competition. Notice it combines 2 of the words we've been using, monopoly and competition. 2 great examples for this one are the candy bar market and the fast food market. Let's start with fast food as an example. You have a lot of choices of fast food, and a lot more choices of fast food than you have choices for cars, for sure. But if you look at every fast food place, they are in competition with each other, and yet they're unique. Each one is rather unique. For instance, Taco Bell specializes in the taco thing. McDonald's uniquely has the Big Mac. That was their big deal specialty back in the day. They have a lot of specialties now, but the Big Mac is what McDonald's is known for. Versus a substitute good, a hamburger is a hamburger, so a Whopper at the Burger King is a substitute good, yet the Big Mac and the Whopper are distinctly different. Then you got White Castle. It's still a hamburger place, but the tiny slider thing is uniquely different. Every fast food place tries to create a little mini monopoly, even though each one is in competition with each other. If you really want Taco Bell and you're driving up to the Taco Bell and you realize, oh my gosh, it's Friday night, 7 o'clock, that is a 45-minute wait in the drive-thru line, you're probably going to shrug your shoulders and say, I'll just go to McDonald's, or Subway, or Burger King, or Wendy's, or Jack in the Box, or all of the dozens of fast food type places. So they also have to find non-price types of competition. They're still going to use the product differentiation. There was a time when Burger King's big deal was have it your way, versus at McDonald's, you just got what you got at McDonald's. They didn't customize stuff. But these days, they use product differentiation, as in you can go to McDonald's and ask for no onions. You can go to Taco Bell and ask for no lettuce on your taco. They will differentiate each product just to try to get your business. They certainly have those price discriminations again. McDonald's offers a cheaper coffee for senior citizens. They have dollar menus, or they have, the children's menus, which are usually cheaper for families. Um, and they also add a lot of these other types of things on the screen here. Buy one, get one deals, coupons, sales. In perfect, or in monopolistic competition, there's always the new and improved, new and improved, new and improved. McDonald's constantly has a rotation of new things they're trying. Taco Bell is constantly trying new weird combinations of stuff, like the Dorito burrito and stuff like that. Always something new and fancy to try to get your attention, to get you into that restaurant. Location is big to these businesses. The location of a gas station totally makes a difference. QT up Interstate 55, major truck stop right off the highway. Very convenient, very easy for people to get there. Service is something they use. Steak and Shake is really a fast food restaurant, yet they pitch this thing to you of they're not a workaround, they're a restaurant. Every fast food place has some little service gimmick like that. And they shoot for advertising and image and status. Advertising is probably one of the greatest things we can talk about. There is no reason in the world for Monopoly to advertise. There's no competition. There's no reason in the world for perfect competition to advertise, because there's all competition. All of the advertising you see on TV is either oligopolies or monopolistic competitions. It's car companies, an oligopoly. The soda companies are an oligopoly. Coke versus Pepsi, and wow, the product variations there and the brand multiplications there are just ridiculous. Fast food commercials, potato chip commercials, candy bar commercials. Candy bar is another example of huge product differentiation and brand multiplication. So hopefully you're getting a picture here of what all this means. um, and I don't want to go real long here, is why I'm going so crazy fast. So the last point of the entire unit is a little thing called mergers. The goal of every single company out there is maximum profit. Firms are not in this for just a profit, they are in for maximum profit. It's just like the game Monopoly. Every firm is out to totally destroy its competition so they can become a monopoly. So what you see throughout history, throughout the modern day, is firms are constantly buying each other out. For instance, when I was growing up, the biggest competitor of McDonald's is a place called Burger Chef. You've never heard of Burger Chef. Doesn't exist anymore. Hardee's bought all of them out across the nation. The last remaining Burger Chef in the world was in Cape Girardeau when I went off to college. It is now gone. There used to be stores up and down Main Streets in downtown St. Genevieve or downtown Festus. Walmart has wiped all those stores out in their ruthless effort to become a monopoly. It's just the way it is. That every firm wants to produce something better so they can destroy all their competition. So real quick, 3 types of mergers. A horizontal merger is when substitute goods buy each other out. When hamburger places buy hamburger places. Literally, when the Hardee's chain bought all of the Burger Chef chains, that was a horizontal merger. They're just moving from burger place to burger place, trying to become a bigger firm to knock out all of their competition. Versus a vertical merger is when you buy the supply chain in a vertical manner. When a hamburger place buys a cow ranch and start producing their own beef, then they own the trucks that connect the two. That is a vertical merger. This was a really big deal back in the 1800s when America was expanding. A guy named Andrew Carnegie wanted to monopolize the steel industry. To make steel, you have to have coal, you have to have railroads, you have to have the iron ore, and so he bought the mines, so he had control of the ore supply, buys railroads to transport the ore supply to his steel mills to produce steel, and he owns the railroads to deliver the steel, so he makes a more maximum profit by having a vertical merger. And the last example before I wrap this up, conglomerate. This is another thing that really might explain some of the world around you. To maximize profit, firms will buy up other firms that have nothing to do with what they make. For instance, Pepsi. Typically we think of Pepsi as a soda company. They have brand multiplication. Pepsi makes all kinds of different brands. They make the Pepsi, they make the Diet Pepsi. I don't even know them all. I think they're probably in charge of Mr. Pibb. Mellow Yellow. They have a competing sub for everything Coke has, and Coke has all kinds of different brand multiplications. Pepsi has product differentiations. You can buy Pepsi Vanilla, Pepsi Zero, Pepsi whatever, Pepsi. But what you may not know, if you go to Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, or KFC, they all serve Pepsi because the Pepsi company owns Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, and KFC. They own all these different companies to maximize their profits. If you own these restaurants, you also sell more soda, even though restaurants and soda aren't directly related. They're complementary goods. Greatest example in America is General Electric. Starts off as Thomas Edison's company making electricity. Now General Electric makes appliances, jet engines, home mortgages, insurance, light bulbs, home appliances. General Electric just makes a ton of stuff. That way, if one piece of the economy goes bad, another piece of the economy may go good, and they maximize their profits. Alright, we're going to wrap this up so I can upload this in less than 18 hours. One thing I've been struggling with just due to technology issues, I asked you in the assignments to make a discussion forum post. Well, it's working for seniors because our technology department allows seniors to have outside emails. It's not working for anybody else, so just don't worry about it, don't stress. Remember, school is just about learning stuff. If you learn a few things from this, great. Other than that, the most important thing going on right now in the world, you must stay alive. So stay healthy, stay safe.